So when you browse through YouTube, you see, get ready for RAF now, or I'm preparing for RAF, this is what I'm doing, or things that you should invest in before Wrath of the Lich King. And don't get me wrong, I've done it myself. Here's a couple of examples. But that's all well and good, being prepared for RAF, but surely being prepared for RAF means understanding what you're going to be aiming at when you go into RAF and how you're going to get the most out of your character. And please, mark my words, if you don't know what this is that we're about to talk about, it will be the most valuable tool for you leading up to RAF, and then, let's be honest, actually in RAF, it will be built upon, or there'll be a better version or whatever, because this is a 3.3.5 version. And we're talking about RAWR. Now, if you don't know what RAWR is, we're going to go through this and I'm going to show you how I'm going to use it, or how I'm using it now, and why I'm using RAWR in particular. Why it's going to be absolutely invaluable on my website, because all of the BIS lists, which currently are being done, at the moment there's only Paladin, so if you go to the Paladin menu and you go to Tier 7 BIS, Holy is done for Tier 7 BIS, Protection's done, and I've started working on Rep, but just filling some blanks in. Now, these are not just BIS lists I've found online, although, admittedly, someone actually shared, and I'm really sorry, I can't remember who he was, but someone has shared a really, really good BIS list that he has put together himself, and I'm using those baseline items to put into RAWR, and then seeing where there's potential upgrades to basically make the ultimate BIS list, because as you'll learn when we look at RAWR, there might be an item that drops that's really, really good for you all the way until the point you've got every single item that's BIS, like every other item. But there might be an item that is actually better as a lower item level than one that's your BIS, as in full Tier 7 BIS. Which, let's be fair, if you was unlucky, you might never get full Tier 7 BIS. Tier 8 might be out by the time you've got every single slot as absolute BIS. So RAWR is something that I would encourage you to use frequently. As I say, I'm sure there's going to be updated versions. I'm sure there's things wrong slightly with this version because things have changed over the years on private servers, but it's a great basis to look for upgrades, plan the gear that you want, plan how the profession items that you're going to get works around that gear. And I'm going to talk you through how I use RAWR, how it works. I'll put a link to this 3.3.5 version on my Google Drive. The only one thing which I'm actually trying to get someone to sort for me, because it's a little bit beyond me, I don't know what I'm doing, but I've got someone on the case to get all of the TBC items imported into it as well. You might be able to mix some of your Tier 6 gear. So if I manage to get that done, I'll let you know. But first, before we get any further, just want to say a quick thank you to all you guys who have either joined as Patreons, because there are patrons now, so thank you guys, and to everybody in the scrolling banner below who has joined the channel as a member. More on how you can support the channel at the end of the video. So look, this version of RAWR has got every Wrath of the Lich King item that you can think of. And first of all, what you're going to want to do, if let's say you wanted to make a pre-raid BIS list or a Tier 7 BIS list, whatever you wanted to do, you're going to want to go to obviously what your race is. So let's say you're a human, let's say you're a paladin, and let's say you're protection. Then you're going to want to go to your talents, and you can do it all custom. You can use this even just as a talent calculator if you wanted to. You can just pick one of the pre-made templates. So I'll just pick, I don't know, Crusade, that'll do. You can pick any buffs that you're going to have from the group, and remember, what buffs you've got will impact what gear is actually BIS for you. And then in the options, you can select what type of mob it is, what target level it is, a ranking system with threat, survival soft cap, Tier 10 raids. We want to set this for Tier 7 raids, let's say Tier 725 for now, because we're talking, let's just talk Tier 7. Abilities, you'll be using Vengeance. Paladin abilities use Holy Shield. So this will change depending on your class. So you always want to have a quick look through the options before you start. And then select your professions. So let's assume that this guy's going to be, let's say, blacksmithing and mining. You want to have a just quick look at the first item, and you'll see it's got epic gems, 30 stamina gems. So you want to go to tools, then go to edit gemming templates, untick all of the epic sets here. So if you just minimize all of these, untick all the epic ones, and then tick all the rare ones instead. So this just means you're not going to be using epic gems because they probably won't be available at the start. Now these lines here, you've got survival, mitigation, and threat. So this is sort of how much of each of those three sections each one of these items is worth. And then here, obviously, you've got health, mana, strength, so it will show you what your total stats will be. It will show you any of the important stats, like obviously defense you're going to need to know about, and as well as loads of others there. Your chance to be crit at the moment is critable, so short by 689 defense or 528 resilience. So you know this needs to be 0%. It shows your resistance, complex stats. So this will be like mitigation scale, your overall points, mitigation points. Mitigation points represent the amount of damage you mitigate on average through armor mitigation and avoidance. You know, you can have a read through all of this yourself, but you know, it's important information to know. And then you want to head over to the filters, And now basically I've done this already in preparation. So we've got tier 7 raids. I've unticked all of the heroics that come out in later patches. So Forge of Souls, Hall of Reflection, Pit of Sauron, Trial of the Champion. Got rid of all of that. And then I've got rid of special currencies that are above Valor, because at the start you're going to have Emblems of Heroism and Emblems of Valor. Basically, just look through here, untick armor tokens 8, 9, and 10, because you're going to only have tier 7. Just have a look through and untick anything you know that's not obtainable. Then what I do next is a bit mental. Well, it's not mental. I literally just fill the character. So just fill the character with, well, what you would do, if we're talking, if I manage to get all the TBC gear like I want actually imported into this version, because this is the most reliable version I've found, then you'll be able to click all your TBC gear that you're using and then look for direct upgrades. So it'll show you a lot more options. Whereas if you're just looking for what's going to be BIS or what items are going to be, now making BIS lists, just select the top item from everything, like I'll show you now, and you'll notice these will change. So if we have head slot, so here is where you see comparisons, like upgrades. So if we go to head slot, at the moment it says I'm using the absolute best one I can. It's got 24 stamina in, it's got the meta gem in already. You can edit the gems custom if you want. So just equip custom gem in, and then you can get rid of that and put what you want in, basically. And you can obviously click on here to add an enchant. So let's put Stalwart Protector on. You'll see how this will change. So at the moment it's saying 24 stamina and it's the best. That may change. But if we just literally just tick, so Boundless Ambition, for example, I know that one's going to change because, like I said, on Scottejaye.com, where I'm trying to get all of these BIS lists put on, and I'm going to be doing pre-raid BIS lists and everything, and I will convert each of these lists into a video, obviously, so you can drive along and listen to where all your gear comes from. But I've got Nexus Champion War Beads, and what you'll notice is the 226 neck from KT actually will be better. It will show as better until you've got the rest of your gear on. Then this neck will take over. And there is some wiggle room. If you happen to go on Scottejaye.com and look at the BIS list once they're all on there. As I say, I've only got tier 7 Paladin that I'm working through at the moment. But once they're all there before RAF launch, if you look at something and you're like, well, my RAWR is saying that these gloves are better and you're telling me these ones are better, there will be a reason. It will be maybe I've favoured the fact that you get more mitigation points. So let me show you. Maybe I've looked and gone, well, I would prefer to get, an extra couple of 100 mitigation points and lose a little bit of the survival points, or vice versa. There will be a reason why I've put that individual item on. Because ultimately, in RAF, there is a lot of options. So let me just quickly skip through to the point where I've just clicked on the top item on every slot. So now you can see we've clicked on just the top item on every slot, and you can see it's dropped down. It's now only second best. And that's because it's took into account all the gems we've got, and the fact that it's going to say 12 stamina and 8 defense is going to be better than the 24 stamina. And that will make sense when we look here, and we've got 584 defense. Our chance to be crit is still only 0.88. So now it's going to force the gem in to take us over crit immunity. So if we do exactly what it says, we go, okay, well, we'll change the gem in that. And a good example here would be, like, I've put the Valorous chest on. So now you've got your 4 set tier bonus. It's obviously telling you that there is better chest plates. So you may want to change the chest. But if you really wanted your set bonus for whatever reason, and we're talking about any class, we're not just talking about prop paladin, then as soon as you put that chest on, it will adjust all the other pieces of gear to say, well, hang on, now these are better, or now those are better. But, you get what I mean. This is just a real quick introduction to how RAWR works, and what I'm going to be basing BIS lists off of videos. But I won't, when I do a BIS list, I think I'm going to be a little bit more, not broad, but not absolute pure BIS. I'll give you like a second option for more or less every slot, because there really is. Like I say, you've only got to look at it. You can see like how close, if we look at the heads, when you look through these comparisons, when you look at the head, there really is pretty much 2 options. There's not that much difference in between the 2. It's only that one's got slightly better threat, and the other one, the top one's got better threat, but the second one's actually got better mitigation. Boundless Ambition has got a tiny little bit less survival in this current gear setup, but it's got more mitigation. But it's also got a tiny bit less threat. And obviously you can do this for any class. So if you was to set yourself up a hunter, it's all exactly the same. Just making sure you've got the filters that you need to use checked off, making sure you've gone to the tools and edited the gem in template to get rid of the epic gems. Oh, and obviously just quickly flicking through these to change, what's relevant for your class. But then you can save these. So you could make yourself a tier 7, a tier 8, a tier 9, a tier 10, save them all now, and you've got your own BIS lists. You won't need to, I need a drink of tea, hang on. So then you've got all your own. You've got all your own BIS lists. You don't need to worry about Wowhead or Scottejaye.com or, wherever you want to find this list, you can literally just plan all your gear yourself. Every time you get an upgrade, you could just have this open on a spare monitor. When you get an upgrade, you can have a quick look through, see how it shifted items around. If you're not doing this already, eat it because you're not bothered about min-maxing or anything like that. That's absolutely fine. But this is just a great tool, even just to keep track of your gear, and what you've got and where you can get items from. So you could go, oh, well, there is no upgrades from Nax 10. I won't bother going to Nax 10. Or you could be like, oh, well, if, save your off-spec. Save your off-spec on here as well. Your rec gear or your feral gear or whatever your off-spec is. And then, it's just really clear what items you've got and where you can still go for upgrades. So, I think it's a brilliant tool. And once you really dig into it deep and you start looking at how much DPS you're going to gain from each item, how much DPS you get from weapons and all of that sort of stuff, you'll have a lot of fun with such a, I'm not going to say a simple tool. It's not simple, but it's a great way for you to start preparing for Wrath now. Even just getting familiar with all the items, where they come from, what sort of eye level everything is. Compare these items, the tier 7 gear, compare them to Sunwell gear until I hopefully get the TBC gear added. That's about it, guys. Have a nice day. Roll the outro. There's lots of ways you can support the channel to keep me here putting out World of Warcraft content and covering all future MMOs. Consider joining the channel as a member. You get access to emotes. Everyone will know you're a member when you comment on future videos because you get a nice icon next to your name. And you get access to members-only videos, which I'll be putting a lot of on the channel throughout the year. Additionally, there's a Patreon link in the description as well. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you on the next one.